Welcome. Today, I didn't realize we were not recording, and I just did this really long, really sweet introduction for Melissa, who's my big sister. In a nutshell, she's lost over 100 pounds. She's helped almost nine other people hit 100-pound weight loss along her journey. She is 8.5 years sober. She's helped so many other people on that journey as well. And she is the biggest cheerleader. She has been coaching for 10 years. She has helped three women every month learn to love the skin they're in for 96 months. 94, I don't know, I forgot already. Numbers aren't my thing. But she's just a light, and we're blessed to get to hear from her. So go ahead, Melissa.
Thank you. Okay, take two. All right, so today we are going to talk. I do apologize for the non-recording people. I was out to lunch celebrating one of my tribe members' 2-year sober-versary today, which was a last-minute thing that I invited myself to lunch. And I share that because I have finally found people that if I want to be at whatever table they're at, I just ask if there's a seat for me. Can I come to lunch with you? And then Aubrey asked, can I come to lunch with you? When or where? And so we just, instead of spending time wishing you were doing things with people you want to do them with, just ask if you can come along. So I want to start with sharing that. But we're going to talk about knowing and speaking to your ideal client today. And this is going to be different for every single person on this call and for every single person who listens to this call, every person that you send this call to. It is going to look different for everyone because we are all here to serve in a different way. And when you figure out who that is that you're serving, you're able to serve them differently. You're able to serve them in a way that feels effortless because content is easy to come up with because it's literally you. So we're going to go over some questions and things like that. But I first want to share some personal experience on this. So when I first started coaching, April was in a whole different phase of her life. She was not married. She did not have kids. And she had never had more than 20 pounds to lose. That's her story. She was a marathon runner. She, struggled with nutrition and binge eating and eating disorders, but she had struggles. But big weight struggles were not her struggles. So when I was postpartum, let's say this, she wanted me to try on bridesmaids dresses like 2 weeks postpartum. And I'm like, no. And so we were just in different places in our life. And that's no fault of hers, no fault of mine. But when she started running groups, she was running like groups about bikinis and summer boot camps and like 6-packs. And I'm like, I'm just trying to get down to 2 layers of clothes this summer instead of 1, or instead of 3, or 1 layer instead of 2. And so we weren't in the same place in our journey. And so I never tried to recruit those kind of people. One of the reasons that I have a 100 club is because I know what it's like to approach a weight loss journey where you have more than 50 pounds. I know what it's like to look at this as a long-term commitment because that's where you're starting. And so I have recruited different people. I have helped different people than April. We have a totally different clientele because we speak differently, because we speak to what we know. We speak to what we struggled with. And that's kind of part 2 of this is first you want to ask these questions and you want to figure out who your ideal client is. That's step 1. Step 2 is the problem, desire, outcome. And then once you know who this person is, then you can start to get into that work. What does this person struggle with? What does this person have problems with? And where are what do they desire? What do they want? And how can I help them fill in the gaps just like I filled in my own gaps? And that's what we're doing. And when I first started, I was like, I can help everybody. Like, fitness is for everybody. Everybody needs this. Like, I literally bleed body blue. Everyone needs this, but everyone doesn't need this from me. Am I waiting? Is the finger up? Okay. But so everyone does.
Wait, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
I okay, I'm so sorry. This garage band, which is trying to use my microphone from my phone, and I keep saying no, but you are not playing. So I want to make sure that it's not happening on the recording. Okay, there. It's like it was not letting me, don't say it was not letting me exit out. Ooh, okay. Go back like 30 seconds. I'm so sorry. Keep going.
Okay. So does everyone need what we have? Yes, absolutely. But everyone doesn't need it from me. And that's the part that when you understand that there are enough people out there struggling with your struggles, that there are more than enough people for you to help. And if you want to make it with as little as effort, to feel effortless and to find joy in it, it is helping those people. Because something that I'm also learning in my parenting journey, I'm going to my daughter's lost and found. I'm going to my daughter's school today to look through her lost and found for her water bottle, because she doesn't know a time that she could do that during her day. And I know that my mom sure as shit wouldn't have done it for me. And so when I go and when I look for the water bottle, I am healing my inner child more than I am helping my own child. And I love that body also gives us that. You get to heal the parts of yourself as you help others heal them as well. Because the parts of your life that you were never cheered on for, or never celebrated, or never validated, like, this is the place where you are validating others, you are supporting others, you are cheering on other people. And that's what we needed. Body has helped me become the person and the mom that I needed, the one I deserve to have. And I didn't get it, but I became it through this business, through these tools, through doing these things. And so that ideal client has changed for me over time, over 10 years. It has been the person that has been taking control of their mental health in their physical journey. It has been the person that has to lose 100 pounds. It has been the mom that can't sit on the floor with her kids. It has been when I really get down to it, it has taken me a long time to figure out exactly who I am. So it has taken me time to figure out who my ideal client is, and that's okay. You narrow it down as you go. But to have an idea of where you are and what you were dealing with is a start. So are you going to nail down your ideal forever target client right now after this call? No, but I hope you have a better idea of who you're here and able to serve right now, where you are right now in that journey. And when I look back, I didn't always have the words for my ideal client, but I help women battle their mental and physical health while they battle ADHD. Undiagnosed or diagnosed. That's what I do. I've called it different things. I've called it sobriety. I've called it depression. I've called it anxiety. I've called it a hot mess success. But that's what it was. It was being neurodivergent in a neurotypical world and struggling with my mind and my body at the same time. And a lot of that stuff does overlap. And that is what I have done, because my journey has never been just about the physical. My journey was very much more emphasis on the mental. And so I love where body is going. It feels like this is how I have always run my business. I love that we have Growth Day to offer. If you didn't listen to the National Wake Up Call this week, it was so good. I didn't even really know what Growth Day was or what this opportunity was bringing to the table for us. But here's what I love. I have so many people that want the mindset shift, that want the mindset work, but they have something in place for their health that already works for them. And now I have something to offer them that I still get to support them. I still get to cheer them on, and I still get a financial kickback for helping them do so. And so that's the way I see Growth Day. I see if they need fitness and nutrition, we have Body. And if they need just mindset, then we have Growth Day. And with both of those, they get the accountability and the support, which is what truly saved me. So that's what I'm starting us off with. April, pull up the first photo, please. The first slide. So first, what we are going to focus on is, what is your unique sharing proposition? And this is your unique spin on what you do with your product or service in your business. So for me, this is that ADHD, because I'm still doing all the things, but it's tailored towards that neurodiversity, towards that. I know what they're thinking. I know what they struggle with for the most part, and I know where gaps are. So what is, and then even the way I do it is different than someone else that has ADHD with body. So what is it about you? Is it the postpartum and depression and a faith base? So here are some questions. And if you can screenshot this, we have these actually in PDFs. We have 2 PDFs that we can share in the team page, so you don't have to screenshot anything. This one, and then there is a working worksheet that you guys can do on your own as homework. So what these questions that relate to what you do. There are questions that relate to what you do, and there are questions that relate to who you are. And I want you to do them both. I want you to take some time in your morning routine, in your journaling for the week, and take some time and think about this. What is the problem that you can solve for your clients and followers? And how does that connect to your product, service, or experience? What problem can you, what problem can your product or service resolve? How do you serve your clients differently? And what makes your experience for your clients, your team, unique from others in your industry? So I mean, if I look at my tribe my local tribe that I've attracted in the last few years, we were all looking for community. You know, we had people all around us, but we all felt a little lonely in something. And so think about who would you want? What kind of people do you want to hang out with? You usually gravitate towards people that you would naturally go up to if you saw out in public, instead of shying away because it's awkward conversation. And, you know, think about who you are outside of body. And for me, that was really hard because I wasn't much outside of body when I started. I didn't feel like I was much of anything. I felt like I had lost my spark. I had lost myself. And so now I think, okay, well, who am I outside of body? You know, I love to laugh. I'm silly. I'm goofy. Tend to gravitate towards cannabis people. And so and I love plants, and so I have like 70 house plants, random things you didn't know about me if you didn't know. And so these things, what do you enjoy? What could you talk about forever? What is something that people actually you're like, oh man, if they bring this up, we're toast. I'm totally gonna dominate the conversation, and I'm just gonna keep talking about this all day. We're never gonna get off of it. For me right now, that's brains. You bring up anything, and it's dangerous because our brains affect everything we do. So I could always pull it back to that. But the neurodivergent, the neurospicy, all of that stuff, why we do what we do, that is something that I could talk about forever. So incorporating a lot of that mental stuff into my boot camps, into my conversations, into my posts, because that is the content that I don't have to think about. What is the kind of stuff? And when you figure it out, it does flow, because when you figure out what it is for you, is it more the workouts, or is it nutrition? Is it your hormones? What is it? Did you learn about yourself in this business that you became obsessed with? What did you need to know more about? And what products helped you with that or opportunity? Questions that relate to who you are. What do you enjoy speaking about? What topics do you naturally bring up in conversation? What types of communities are you involved in? And who are you outside of what you do? Where do you volunteer? Where do you spend your time? Before body, where did you have a social life? What did you do? What would you invite people to do with you? Think about those kind of things. And then think about what problems this has solved for you. How has this helped you, helped your family? What are the things that you learned from body that you've just taken and run with, right? Maybe it was exercise. Maybe it was nutrition. Maybe it was learning how to read labels. Maybe it was clean eating. The point is, if you're trying to do what April's doing, if you're trying to do what Cam is doing and you aren't those people, you're not going to find your people. So it may seem like, well, it's not this big. It's not your brain. It's not everything. It doesn't matter. It does not matter because it matters enough to your people. Okay, let me check my notes. I think maybe we're ready for the next slide. The computer sounds like it's overheating in the sunlight. So what do you do differently for everyone else? If you would say to somebody, here's what I bring to the table, what would you finish that with? Right? And so we know what body brings to the table. What do you bring to the table? And here's the thing, like, it could just be my energy. It doesn't even have to be my knowledge or insights. Like, it could be my energy. It could be your experience. Like, but it's probably something to do with you, right? Is it your faith? Is it the way that you parent? Is it the way that you run your kitchen? Like Melanie, this is taken from the Direct Sales Done Right. And Melanie Mitro her thing was tested, husband approved. And she went hard on nutrition. And that was her thing. She didn't try to speak to all the things. She was like, nutrition is what I really learned a lot about. That's what I really cared about. That's what she dove into. Mine is mental health. So you're going to see it everywhere because the mental health, the personal development, that's the part that I didn't know I needed. Sometimes this is the stuff that you didn't know you needed. And maybe it's the community. Maybe it's the accountability. Maybe it's the support. Maybe it's the mirroring, seeing other people where you are in your journey, not at the end of a journey. So what do you value? Your loyalty, your community, for fun. And when we're talking about, the other person, is what are they worried about? What are they worried about? Like, what are their concerns? Do they try on 5 pairs of pants and throw them all in the corner and say, screw it, and cancel the plans? Do they change in another room before they go to bed with their husband or partner? What are their struggles? Do they just not know what they don't know? Do they think what they're doing is healthy because no one ever taught them any better? Right? Like, what are they doing? What are the problems? What do they Google? I love this one. I'm not really a Googler, but I feel like I actually used to Google things before I had body. And it's like literally a decade ago, but it was probably stuff like, how do you lose weight at blah, 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 like with other details or things like that. Like, how do I lose baby weight, or how do I do this, or how do I do that? Like, what kind of stuff, if they were Googling, if they were sitting out there in their car Googling while their kids are at one of their practices, what are they asking Google to fix for them? And then put that content together and put it out there. Be their Google solution to whatever they're out there trying to figure out. What are their desires? What do they want out of life? And what problems do they have? What topic is for you? What topic is easy for you to connect over? And who do you most enjoy talking to? So what I want you to think about from here is, these are the questions that I want you to spend some time filling in these. But think about, what kind of problems do you solve? What kind of problems did you have? And what I did was, I actually took my paper and I gave 1 full sheet for problems, 1 full sheet for desires, and 1 full sheet for outcomes. And I listed them out. So I will just share a few with you, because I feel like my mind always works better whenever I hear someone's examples, even if they're not mine. So, problems. She feels like she's meant to do more with her life, but she is unsure of what. Unsure what that is. She busies herself taking care of house, husband, kids, others, so she doesn't have to think about her own needs. She drinks because it's socially acceptable, but does so to feel normal and dull the pain. She feels alone and craves having adult conversations with other moms outside of motherhood, talking about anything other than bowel movements. That used to be my invite. I literally used to send messages, and part of my conversations was, it is just so nice to talk to other moms about things other than my baby's bowel movements. I remember when that was the phase of life that I was in, and other moms related. They wanted more conversations about things that were not about diaper changings too. Right? So, she craves interaction with moms who are in the same season of motherhood and are wanting to make a supplemental income through something that has changed their life. She organizes when she feels empty or scattered. She busies herself with distraction. She feels like she's living a life on a hamster wheel. Every day is so hard, but no one sees it. She is battling undiagnosed ADHD, but she's thinking she's the problem. She is trying everything, but nothing is helping. She constantly feels overwhelmed and underwhelmed by life at the same time. The thought of adding anything else to her schedule or budget is painful. The thought of adding anything to her schedule or her budget is painful. That is where I was. It was painful to add anything to my time or my budget. And so knowing that, because I can add things to my time and budget now, it's not painful. My whole day today got rearranged, and here I am having a call in a car because I have that mental capacity and the flexibility that I did not have 10 years ago. And that's so important to remember when you're talking about somebody who is where you started or worse. So being realistic about where you were puts you in a whole different place when you show up, and the way you share, and the content that you share, and the conversations that you have, and the way your invites look. She knows she's capable of more, but she just can't seem to make herself do it. She's all that she is. Do I go back to work now that my kids are in school? We could really use the money. What kind of job can I work 1 to 3 hours a day? All the time I have after all the regular mom life duties. How much can I possibly make in 15 hours a week? Is it even worth it in gas? What kind of work from home jobs can I do 15 hours a week, 3 days a day, 3 hours a day or less? Hi, sounds like I have some pretty great problems or solutions for these problems, but it takes the time to sit down and write them out. So now when I'm struggling with content, let me just come to my list. I'm going to read the desires, and I'm going to go through the last part, and then we're going to wrap up. Okay. So desires: to understand why it's so incredibly important to prioritize herself, to show up as the best wife, mother, daughter, and friend as possible, to be happy with her life. She craves close friendships, women who want to grow together, a community of women who see her for who she is and loves her the way she is, doing life differently, who don't judge. A community of women who sees each other for who they are, don't judge, just nudge and support them towards their best self. Create awareness, education around ADHD, addiction, and just how much it affects our lives. Parenting differently, healing my inner child as I do. To create a supplemental income to stay home with my kids. To let women know they can feel better in their skin, even their extra skin. To show women their journey matters. Their journey is inspiring. They are what can and will change lives. To understand herself and why she is the way she is. To love herself, mind and body. Wants to help her family financially. Wants to travel at all. Solutions. And I hope as I'm reading these, it's jolting what is in you, right? Because it's not about mine. It's great that I know mine. You need to have your list. You need to write things down. So if you're feeling inspired after this call, write down a couple things on each list, just a couple, and then go from there when you're in a space that you can give more. Solutions: to Be provided with a specific and personalized approach when it comes to learning how to build a direct sales business. Easy step-by-step with something visual instructions on what to refer back to and check off. Provide with visual examples of conversations and responses and objections. I think I was going with like totally coaching here. A community of other moms who are in the same age range as her, who are doing business together, setting goals, taking trips, collaborating, making a connection. A safe space for each woman to heal, grow, develop their unique visions, and create their own business design while being guided by a mentor who can show them exactly how to succeed. To have a supplemental income that will allow you to do extra things with your kids or cover things like gymnastics. So those were mine. And so I want you guys to take some time to think about yours. And I want to share one final thing that is totally just a little bonus. These are 3 simple tips to stop comparing your social media to someone else's. And number 1, unfollow any accounts that you tend to immediately look at that never end up making you feel good. I don't care who they are, you unfollow them. It will feel weird at first, the first few days, but once you get into the routine of not looking at those accounts, you'll be so glad you did. And on Facebook, you can even take a break. So I try not to scroll Facebook, but let's be honest, we do. When I do, if I see a post that like, I'm like, oh, what is that? I have enough people in this world to serve. I don't need anybody impacting my energy in a negative way. Doesn't matter who they are. And if they're a family member or somebody that I truly don't want to unfriend, you can take a break. I share this as we approach an election year. Unfollow, take a break, save your sanity. Your social media is a place that you need to show up and be a light. So eliminate anyone who dulls that for you. Okay? Like protect your energy and your space that you show up in. Number 2, actually take time, set a timer and take time scrolling through your social media accounts and acknowledge where you started to where you are now. Give yourself some much deserved credit for the content that you do put out and how to create content similar to that again in the future. And so if you're brand new to this, everyone's memories from 10 years ago is a glow up, I'm sure. So spend some time, look at your memories, look at how it used to be, or how did you used to show up in your life? And how do you show up differently now on social media? Okay. And number 3, spend time creating content that speaks directly to your ideal client whom you are looking to attract. Ask yourself what they would be going to Google for and journal. And then you come and take those same things she is Googling and you create content based on that. And that isn't going to come from looking at someone else's social media. Because now we are so conditioned to be in this business long enough that we're like, we see someone else's post and we're like, oh, that's great. You are already in a body, physical, mental growth mindset. Of course, that sounds good to you. They're growing. They're on a growth path. They are speaking your language. That doesn't mean it's your language for your client. Because where you are now is you are in a space that, yes, you are going to see people running at your speed or faster. That doesn't mean what they are doing will work for you. If you like the idea about the post, why? What did it make you think? What did it make you feel? And then how can you put that feeling out there that someone else is going to be like, I feel that too. Because you're relating to somebody who's already in the world that you're in. And we really have to remember that the people that we are speaking to are not in that world yet. And so even like, hi, I'm the person that's like, I've fallen in love with the journey. I've fallen in love with who I have become through it, but I was the person who just wanted to do this stuff and get done with it when I started. I didn't want to fall in love with the process. I just wanted the process done. So knowing that who you are now is not who you started, but we can remember, we just have to go back. What kind of things did you struggle with? What kind of things did you get over with? And ask yourself those questions. I also recommend you asking yourself this stuff at least once a year, because you are growing at an alarming rate, and who you are now is hopefully not who you are a year from now. And who you are now is hopefully not who you were a year ago. And so your ideal client is going to continue to change, and you're just going to zone in even more on who you are and who you're here to help, because you are just going to keep figuring out who you are and how you can serve. And that's all I have for you guys today.
Oh, that was so good. Thank you. Does anybody want to say anything, ask any questions specifically to this? Because I feel like this was just such a needed conversation for us all. Because a lot of times you're like, oh, what do I post? Well, what did you need to hear? So very, very good. Does anybody have any specific questions? All right, feel free to just unmute yourself if you do need anything. Melissa and I want you to do your homework. We want you to, when I post the recording of this into the team page, I would love for you to post your homework. I'm actually just going to print, and I'm going to put the 2 PDFs into the team page, and I'm just going to print them out so that during my morning time tomorrow, I can go through and do this. Because if you do that, that is your content for the next like 4 weeks right there. So all right, Camera said, when do you feel like you should switch who you speak to? You're muted.
I would say, so there have definitely been shifts in my growth. And when you feel that shift in you, I feel like that's kind of when you shift. Like when you feel stuff shifting for you. And like Liz and I just talked about this, that she's been trying to find her niche. She's been trying to find her ideal client for a while. And at first she thought it was grief because that's what brought her into this, but that's just one thing. And so overwhelmed moms is who she's speaking to right now, because grief brings overwhelm. And so it fits in there. Will it maybe narrow down at some point to something other than an overwhelmed mom, a little bit less of an umbrella? Probably. But for a really long time for me, it was, and honestly, it was whatever I was battling. I mean, there were times where my niche was chronic pain, because I went through a year of recovery and pain after the accident. That's the only thing I was in and the only thing I was doing. It would have been impossible for me to talk about anything else. And I think that's why we shift and why we change with these things, because if there is something that is that heavy in your life and you are facing it and you are dealing with it and getting through it most of your time, that's what you should be talking about, because that's what you have content to talk about. If you are in the thick of, let's say you are in the thick of a divorce, but you were over here talking about, like, I don't know, joy and nutrition, like, it's just gonna feel fake. It's not going to feel authentic, and people can tell. So my ideal client has kind of always been, what is the current struggle that I'm dealing with? And I feel that's actually why I've struggled to figure out my ideal client in the last year and a half, because it's no longer one struggle. I'm kind of on the other side of a lot of my struggles. And so it's a little bit harder for me to pin that down. But for the first few years of my sobriety, it was sobriety, and then it was chronic pain, and then it was depression. And it was showing up in depression and still doing the things. And because that's what I was doing. That's what I was doing. And that's what I had to do. But people also knew that they could come to my page and that's what they would find. They would find me showing up in the thick of my depression, good days, bad days, didn't realize that it was undiagnosed ADHD. And honest to goodness, when I got my ADHD diagnosis, I feel like there was several dozens of people out there who just got it like that because they've been following me for years and they've been relating with me for years on things. And when I put that together, they put it together. And like that's really cool. So we've been relating that much that people are just watching me get through my battles, and they're seeing themselves so much that when I figured it out, they figured it out. And like that's such a blessing that we get to be for people. And when those people, oh, I got to hop off because my conference call is on here. A parent teacher conference that I also have today. But I'm gonna hop off and April can continue with anything. Love you guys. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
thanks, Melissa. Okay, guys. So I am going to stay on here for a couple minutes because I do think this is something really important. And sometimes I feel like it's important to do it right here and right now and not like say I'll do it later. So with going along with what Camera was saying, when I first started, I was very much, talking about the confidence, the lack of confidence, lack of self-love. And then it changed to postpartum depression and, just balancing everything with mom life. And then now I can't really say that I am postpartum, right? My baby's about to be 4. So it's like I was adding something to an album and I have albums on my Facebook and I was like, should I add this to postpartum? Or I'm like, I guess I can't say postpartum anymore. So I'm going to go with this other album. But, that changes as well too. Not to say that you can't still touch on parts of those stories, because I know that there are other people that I could bless in sharing my postpartum depression journey that I didn't even know that I was going through it. I cried for hours every day for 4 months before I realized that that wasn't normal. So I still don't think that it's something I won't ever talk about. But right now, my main focus is talking about anxiety, is talking about how like I don't have to do it all. I can leave those burdens and worries at his feet and reminding other people to, like give it to God, because if you try to carry it all with you, like you are just going to be like this massive mess, right? And so that's my message, is doing things in with him, through him, for him, and finding joy in the mundane. And so right now, that is my focus. And that is my, and also talking about being really real and showing people that they don't have to be perfect. Like a couple times a week, I will show the dirty dishes, the absolute filth that looks like a fraternity house that is my house. Like I want people to see that like I'm not perfect, and they shouldn't just, compare themselves to other people's highlight reel. And I can't tell you that, like, when I'm really vulnerable and I get like really real, that's when my message, my inbox really starts popping. Is people like, I just needed to read that today. So vulnerability is your superpower. I will say it, that and authenticity. If you are like, I am a weirdo, I'm always doing weird voices, I'm always being silly, dancing, things like that. And I was just thinking today, I was like, I've really like kind of slacked on like really letting my weirdness shine through in my stories lately. I need to get back to that, and that's the beauty of this, is you don't have to, be perfect. You don't have to get everyone to like you, but I'm going to find my weirdos that, that want to, be blasting Jesus jams while they're dancing goofy in the kitchen. That's my people. And it feels so good when you're having conversations that feel like people, if you were like you were neighbors, you would want to be besties with. So that being said, anybody else have anything? I guess I forgot to take a picture while Melissa was on here. If anybody got anything, just make sure you tag each other for that. But does anybody else have anything?